Have you ever wanted to have garden fresh herbs straight inside of your own home, easy to access for all of your cooking? Today, I'm going to show you how you can plant an Italian herb garden right on your own front porch. So I'm just going to put on my gardening gloves to help keep my hands from getting too dirty. I have my planter box right here. I've already filled it about 1/3 of the way full with my potting soil. I'm just using some Miracle-Gro organic potted soil. This is going to help my plants really attach their roots into their new soil. It's got some fertilizer already in it. So I have some Italian oregano, some flat Italian parsley, a little bit of sweet basil, as well as some rosemary. This one is my favorite. I love the way that it smells. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is take my herbs out of their pots that I got from Lowe's. So the way that you do this is you're gonna tip it over onto your hand and gently squeeze at the bottom to help loosen those roots. You can see that this one was already a little bit loose, which means it's not too root bound. That's a good thing. You don't want your roots to be growing into the pot too much. I'm gonna kind of knock that soil around a little bit and just place it in my planter. I'm gonna take out my next plant, my flat Italian parsley. I use these herbs every day for my cooking, so it's really great for me to have a fresh option available, just so that I don't have to keep going to the store, buying the plastic containers, introducing a lot more waste into the environment. So I'm just loosening up this root ball at the bottom, helping my roots get ready to go into their new soil. And I'm placing these plants about 2 inches away from each other. You just want to make sure that they have some space to grow. You don't want them to have too much space though. You do not want your plants to start flowering, because the leaves are what you use for cooking. You can see that this one is a little bit more root bound. Those roots are kind of starting to circle around the bottom. That means that they didn't really have anywhere to go in their pot. So again, I'm just gonna gently loosen those and place it about 2 inches away. And my last one is my rosemary plant. And just gently loosening. You don't want to pull it, you just want to let it fall into your hand. You can see through the bottom of this pot that these roots are actually growing through. So I expect this one to be particularly root bound. Yep. This is why you need to repot your plants, you guys. You see how those roots are wrapped around that root ball? This plant is going to be so happy to get into some fresh soil. I'm just gently loosening those tightly coiled roots. You don't want to tug too hard because you don't want to damage the root structure, but you do want to loosen it just a little so that it is ready to move into its new home. Okay. So now I've got all 4 of my plants placed, spaced out about 2 inches apart. I gave my rosemary a little bit more space just because that one's the biggest out of my 4 plants. Then I'm gonna take my shovel and go back into my potting soil bag and grab some soil to place around all of my plants. Now you wanna try and cover the top of those root balls. Try to avoid getting the leaves covered, but some of the stems are a little bit short. So if you get a little bit of soil on them, you can just knock them off. I think gardening is a really nice way to relax after a long day, or a good start to what is going to be a long day. And it's just nice when you can come home after work and you have a beautiful garden waiting for you on your porch, and then you can taste all of those fresh herbs in your cooking. So I'm just poking that soil down, trying to incorporate a little bit of air. And this takes a little bit of time, but you do want to take your time with it so that you can make sure that everything is covered the way that it is supposed to be. I use these herbs in pretty much all of my cooking. I know that they're Italian herbs, so obviously they're perfect for making spaghetti sauces, making lasagna, mastacholi, all that good stuff. But I actually also like to use a little bit of Italian herbs and stuff like stir fry. I like to use it in Mexican food. I think it adds a nice aromatic flavor. And then especially when they're fresh, you can really, really taste them. I'm just kind of loosening up this rosemary root a little bit more. The soil from the top, just because that one is really tightly packed. A little bit more over here. This is the most time-consuming part of this whole project, but this is actually a very simple project. You can do this with your family if you have kids at home, or even just by yourself if you're looking for a new hobby. It's relatively inexpensive. It's really easy to learn. There's a lot of communities online for things like gardening, and it's good for the environment. It makes your home a happier place, makes your earth happier. Okay, now that I've got that soil in, and I'm just grabbing with my gloves now to fill in these loose spots. Now that I've got that soil in, I'm going to take some water. This is about a gallon of water. I'm probably not going to use the whole thing. I'm going to take that and just start wetting down my soil. This is going to help that soil descend, fill in all those air pockets that I might have missed. You want to be careful not to get it on your leaves, just because when the sun comes out, you really don't want those leaves to get singed. The best time to water your plants is in the morning because of that, because the sun is going to be less intense. And then by about 10 o'clock, when the sun gets more intense, your soil is going to have already absorbed the water. So I'm just going to add a little bit more soil on top because I can see the spots that I missed now that I've watered. And then just like that, we have a beautiful herb garden in our own home. It's really easy to do, and it's a lot of fun. And it's rewarding to have fresh herbs that you can use in all of your cooking at home.